Hello and welcome. This is the Evolvepreneur Secret Show for entrepreneurs, and I'm your host, Brian Silverthorne. And as always, I help entrepreneurs make a difference that they want in their businesses and help them navigate the world of startup and growth and sometimes relaunch. And today we're going to dig deep with our guest and get you some great concepts and strategies to help fast track your business. And our special guest today is Donnie Boivin. And Donnie is an entrepreneur and serves as the CEO and founder of Secret Champions, of Success Champions. I'm sorry for stepping on my tongue, and Success Champion Networking. So I'm going to give him the opportunity to explain that. Welcome to the show, Donnie.
Hey, thanks, Brian. Excited to hang out with you. Not often I get to talk to a whole bunch of you crazy people over in California, but it's always a fun time when I get a chance, man. So
Yeah, there's. I'm a transplant from Michigan, so I haven't got all that built in crazy, but it's here.
it'll grow on you. It'll grow
Yeah,
on you.
yeah. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are, how you got to where you are today, and what your current focus is?
For sure. So grew up blue collar. I worked for other people for 40 years and, really I worked for people for 20 years, but turned 40 before I even knew that you could be an entrepreneur, start your own business. I mean, just grew up in a household where you went and you worked for other people, and that's how it was. Through a series of events and personal choices, I decided I was going to take the leap and jump out and launch a company. And, due to an international non-compete, I couldn't talk about the only thing that I knew, which was sales. So my first year in business was an absolute nightmare. I ran the company into the ground, freaking almost lost everything that I own. Luckily, found podcasting, launched my show, and after launching it, it became one of the top podcasts in the world. Non-compete came up, and flash forward to where I am now, and I operate 3 companies, have 5 best-selling books, one of the top podcasts in the world, and a partridge in a pear tree. So my biggest focus is helping as many small business owners grow and scale, teaching them all the shit that nobody taught me as I was building a business. Most people are convincing people to get into business, to start a business and make the corporate leap to get out into the world. And then once they get out there, nobody's helping them along the way because most people that I think that I find or run across, they're teaching people how to build businesses, haven't done it themselves. So they're teaching a lot of things on theory, and I just hit them as raw as I possibly can and try and help people from becoming an island and not hole up and do what I did and freaking end up on the dark side of building a business. So, but 3 companies and a good time.
Well, good. So the yeah, practical experience is a whole lot better than textbook learning.
For
So
sure.
I learned that from my dad, who he started as a spray painter a long time ago with Chrysler. Went to night school for 8 years to get a mechanical engineering degree, and I asked him what he did with graduate engineers when they came to work for him. He said we send them back to our school and make them line foremen so they know what it means to work. So I
Smart
under,
man.
yeah, I understand what you're talking about. So you got three businesses. What are their focuses?
So the first one we stumbled into, it's a Champions Table Mastermind. And that one came about simply because I found myself sharing a lot of my screw ups in business. And I was sharing them in a way to ask for opinions and advice of other people. But as I shared them, people kept asking me questions. And I'm like, why are you asking me? I'm still figuring this crap out. Um, that led to us launching masterminds where we bring a bunch of business owners together and use collaboration and peer groups to help them grow and scale. Then, because of the pandemic, we launched Success Champion Networking. It's the fastest growing networking organization on the planet. 55 chapters across the U.S., 3 or 4 in Canada now, and 6 other countries we're launching. And we bring business owners together at kind of that second tier level of business, not your rookies, not your people who are doing MLMs and network marketing and all that crap. These are people that are actively in the moment of scaling their business, and we bring them together and teach and help them grow through introductions and collaborations and a lot of training. And then we have the Badass Business Summit, which we do every year here in Fort Worth, Texas. We bring in speakers from around the world, bring in a ton of entrepreneurs and business folks that are looking to grow and scale, and we help them through a 3-day event of amazing networking and live interaction. And we teach people on site. So it's not like we're trying to sell them a whole bunch of courses and stuff, but at the event, they're working on tactical things, in their business, so they can walk away from the summit with everything already firing and working. Because God, I attended so many summits and events and conferences where you take a shit ton of notes, and then you get home and you don't remember half the crap you wrote down. So
Right.
we designed this. We're like, let's do it so they're actually working on their businesses while they're there. Put some networking and some fun to it. And so 3 days, and it's pretty awesome to hang out and be a part of.
Yeah, that sounds like a great format. So for your networking groups, do you or your mastermind groups, excuse me, well, I guess they're maybe a combination. Do you have local facilitators, or how do you do
No,
that?
so for the mastermind groups in particular, we have a team that does all the mastermind trainings. We've had several people that have been through our programs that step up and do a lot of things for us. So we bring in some pretty heavy hitters, no names, to help with that as well. Just people that have been through it and are going through it to teach a lot of things. For the networking groups, everything we do is virtual, excluding the Badass Business Summit. That's in person, but everything else is virtual. And for the networking groups, we do them as local organized groups, and we find people local to a specific area to help them launch these off. And it really takes a dynamic individual that understands that opening doors for others is the fastest way to grow your business. And if you can get people to the right conversations, good things happen. So, and we've launched that because of the pandemic. So many people were moving online and had no idea how to do business online. And so we had to find a way to help. And traditional networking's been broken since the 1980s. So we had to reinvent, how networking was done. So by partnering up with some local badasses in the areas, we bring some really, really cool people together and open up some pretty cool doors. Lots of training in there.
Yeah, good.
Well.
That really sounds interesting. That's a neat concept. Say, back when we got started here, you mentioned that because of a global non-compete, you couldn't do what you knew best, which was selling. And without giving me any particulars or anything, but what got you started in selling, and
For
then
sure. So, after the Marine Corps, I did 4 years in the Marine Corps. And after that, I did, HVAC sales. I did franchise sales, bartended for a few years, sold commercial printing for about 7 years. And then my last career was with an organization called Sandler Training. And supposedly I became one of the top sales trainers in the country. I'm not really sure what that means, other than I'm really good at flapping my gums in front of a room. And when I left Sandler, that's when the non-compete came down. I had such a large book of business that the franchise, not my business partner at the time, but the franchisor as a whole, slapped the non-compete on me because they were afraid that I was going to come back. And I was going to. I was 100% going to come back after my book of business.
sure.
And so because of the success and the brand that I built, I couldn't talk about sales training, sales management, business development, the only thing I freaking knew. So one of the reasons my business failed so horribly in the beginning is I started off as the damn success coach. And Brian, to this day, I have no freaking clue what a success coach is. It's some sort of business whore that just says yes to whatever business you can find. And, so it was some half-ass coaching and some other things along the line. But it really took me getting beyond the non-compete so I could bring the sales and business development angle into play. Because truth be told, most people's businesses are failing because they're avoiding the sales side of the conversation.
Yep.
But once you get the sales crankings, if you don't have the systems and processes in play, sales isn't going to save, a crappy system. So we usually get people's, their sales process and systems rocking and rolling, and then we'll fix their processes so they can actually set them up to scale.
Oh, good. Yeah. After starting and growing a couple of businesses, I spent a number of years in sales and sales training. And, my favorite niche within that was just helping really top performing pros get through the challenges because even the good ones face challenges that they sometimes choke up on. So that's where I really had the most fun and got the most gratification. And top producing salespeople are a fun group, male and female. So
they are. Well, and when you talk to them, it's not the, hey, why isn't this working? They're challenging you, going, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, right? What's my next phase? And you're never really telling them what to do, right? You're suggesting that they try something and tweak it and move, because they're coming for you for advice, but you're not teaching them sales. You're giving them different ways to look at it. And that's what makes that crowd so damn fun.
Yeah.
Because they've got the skins on the wall. So when you spend same thing with the businesses, if you work with the right business owners that are in the same mentality, you're not really coaching them. You're getting them to think about it a little bit different way, because they know how to make their business work and function. So they're a fun bunch to hang out with. And when you do things with them, you better hold on, because they're going to go big.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just, for me, it's all about asking them questions from a perspective they may not have thought of, to get them thinking another way. And it really helps out. So it's fun for me. It sounds like you're having a lot of fun doing your stuff too.
For sure. I like to challenge them a lot of times, though, because nobody stands up to the top guys most times, because most times the companies, if it's from a sales perspective, they've got the company hostage because of the number one producer, and the presidents and CEOs are scared that they're going to piss them off and send them on their way. So I always love going in and challenging those guys to saying, dude, is this all you're going to do? Is this all you're going to produce? Is this all the bigger you're going to go? Just to see how much of a pissing contest they get in with me.
That's a good way to do it.
Yeah.
So in all your business development and sales stuff, everything else, what do you think's the best piece of advice you've ever given one of the folks or groups that you've worked with?
Oh, fuck up fast. Most people, the most successful people in the world, understand that if you are screwing things up on purpose, and what I mean by that is you're trying new things, testing, tinkering, and you're trying new things to get better, stronger, bigger, faster, and you're constantly putting yourself out there and tweaking. But most people, they're afraid of failure, because their idea of failure is, if I show up, somebody won't like me, or if I, try something, then it fails, people will think bad about me. Your successful people don't give a shit about what people think about them. They're purposely going out and trying new things, knowing they're going to break, and using that as a template to get further down the line with what they're doing. So they're bigger risk takers. They're always tinkering with things. So the faster you can fuck it up and break it all apart, and let things figure out the wrong way to do things so you can do them the right way, the faster you do it, the better. The second thing is, if you're a business owner trying to figure everything out, no website, no marketing, no anything is going to save your damn business. Get out and be the face of your damn company, and go sell this shit, because everything else is just an excuse not to be out there.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You got to, I guess you got to build your own brand and build a positive conversation in the community in which you want to work. So being out there on your own is the best way to do it, assuming you're behaving properly when you're out there.
I mean, it depends on how you define behaving properly, because I know for me, cussing, wearing ball caps, t-shirts, brings my people to the table. And if I put on a suit and, tie and tried to talk corporate world again, they'd see right through my ass. So,
yeah, I meant the behaving properly for the people that you want to do business with. So,
well said, for sure.
Yep. So, a lot of the entrepreneurs that listen here, they're concerned or looking for help with a couple of things. One is how to generate leads, and the other one is how to meet revenue goals and keep going. So, do you have any advice on both of those
Yeah.
subjects?
Well, first and foremost, quit trying to generate leads. Generate leads is a desperation act of trying to get people to introduce you to people. So here's the thing. Most people move through life and they're always looking for referrals or somebody to get them to their end client. Most people, for whatever you sell, are rarely getting into the conversation with your end clientele type person. So, one, never expect anybody to fucking sell for you. So, if you know who you need to sell to, that's your job to get to the end user. Everybody else you talk to, quit telling them that you need to meet the end user and start telling people you need to meet the people who already have your end user as clientele. So, I'll take my brother is a CEO of a drug testing and background screening company, really large outfit out of Florida. And, first time I told him, I'm like, dude, quit telling people you need to meet companies that need to do background testing and all that kind of stuff, because very rarely are people going to meet the companies at your scale that you need to be dealing with. I said, who's the number one person that's already working with all those? And he goes, HR consultants. I said, start telling people you need to meet HR consultants. He doubled his business in 90 days because he started meeting all these HR consultants. They already had the clientele. He'd go in, figure out what they would need, start opening doors for them, and instantly would grow their business through introductions. They in turn would use his services because of the value he brought them. And when you can learn to tell people to connect you with the people who already have the clientele, the resources and the likes, and not your end user, you come from a place of abundance versus this lack. The second thing from a business development standpoint is we're in a social world. Get your ass on social. People buy from people. No longer are they buying from these. I mean, grant, there's still a big thing to say with brand, right? There's still Nike, there's still McDonald's, there's still all this, but more and more people are moving away from the big brands and they're starting to buy more on the individuals. And if you look at some of the biggest names in the world, from your Gary V's, your Tony Robbins, your Tim Ferriss, right? Most people can't even tell you what those people do for a living and don't even realize that they've spent a lot of money with those type of individuals in the marketplace. And they understood that the currency of today is your personal brand, because people are going to buy you and then get what you do. So if you're not putting your ass out there, getting on podcasts, getting on stages, teaching, mentoring, putting out content and showing up in the social world, you're going to have a tough slug at it. You're going to have a tough go. And, best way I can tell people is if you've got knowledge that's valuable that other people could use and you're not sharing it with the world, you're just selfish. Start teaching and watch people show up.
Yeah, that's good advice. But I think the people thing has been around for a long time. Many years ago, I helped somebody leave a nationwide business because they were kind of stodgy. He was an entrepreneur. They weren't recognizing his efforts. He was producing 60% of the business in a 12 office nationwide company and 40% of the profits. And I told him, you either live with it or get out and go on your own. And he was afraid of going out on his own because of their brand. Well, I said, no, they're going to come because of you. You're the one
100%.
that is doing it. And it turned out he's got a thriving business of his own now. So what you said about the people aspect of it and building your own brand, who you are, what you do, what you provide, I think that's great advice.
Well, and thank you. And to that point, I mean, you look at any company that's got a sales team and going back and talking to those top 1% to 2% sales performers, if they leave your company, you'll realize really quick who owns those accounts. It's not the company, it's not the brand, it's that damn salesperson, because they've built the relationships. They're the one out doing the golfing trips, they're the one out doing the cocktails, the family vacations and the likes. You ain't going to beat out your brand, ain't going to mean a damn thing when you're stacked up against those odds.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So you got any final thoughts for the folks, and let people know how to get a hold of you? I guess you're all over the place on social media and podcasts and everything else, so they probably can trip over you without even trying.
Quite possibly. But the biggest thing is getting the game. the person that got you here this moment in time is not the person that's going to get you to the next version and where you need to get to. You got to evolve. And the only way to evolve is to go get punched in the face, trying new things, figuring it out, get knocked on your ass, get up and go again, because truthfully for me, success is found beyond where most people would throw in the towel. So if you'll just get in the game and keep going, it'll eventually break through and work. As long as you are doing the right freaking behaviors to make it work. I mean, you can't sit on your thumbs
Right.
and just hope the world's going to come to you. And then to find me, I mean, the easiest way is DonnieBoivin.com. We'll get you everywhere you need to go, to all the summits, books, everything else. You can text the word success to 817-318-6030, and we'll send you a whole bunch of stuff and links to all of our stuff as well. Go.
Well, you've provided us a lot of great insights. You're a great example of going from multiple worlds to the one where you wanted to end up. And I can't remember who the quote came from. I'm not even going to try, but I won't say it correctly. But somebody said that most men adapt to the world as it is, but great men cause the world to adapt to them.
I love that.
And therefore, all good things come from great men, and men meaning mankind. But
Steve Jobs had a cool way of putting it that I've lived by. And Steve Jobs said the only people that can actually change the world are the ones crazy enough to believe they can. And I've lived by that since I jumped in this game.
Yeah, now actually that says exactly the same thing
Yep.
I said, but one of them came from 50, 60
right.
100 years ago, and the other one's close. So
right.
That's great. Yeah, you're right. The ones that are crazy enough to think they can.
For sure.
So I thank you for your time. It's been fun and all your insights. So folks,
hey, let me do one quick thing for you.
Yeah,
Brian.
sure. Yeah.
Hey guys, if you got any value, tips, tricks, anything out of this thing, do Brian the greatest favor and share this podcast with somebody else. I can tell you have my own shows. Growing your audience and your follower base is one of the toughest things in the world. So do him the favor and honor and sharing this out with one other person. It'll mean the world to him. It's almost like you walked up and gave him a virtual hug. So share this with one person who needs to hear this message, and help them out.
Well, thank you. Actually, you just took the words out of my mouth, part of them. So I was just going to say this is a wrap of another episode of the Evolvepreneur Secret Show for entrepreneurs. And if you liked the episode, we'd be grateful if you give us a 5-star review and also share it with 2 or 3 other people. And make sure that you subscribe for future episodes at evolvepreneurssecrets.show. And until the next time, if you're an entrepreneur, make a start on your next great idea today.